It's kind of the traditional day of the celebration of the Epiphany of the Lord. So if you follow Pope Francis at all, you'll see that he had a special Angelus of address today, in addition to his weekly Wednesday audience. But that's because the Rome still celebrates Epiphany on the traditional day of January 6th, where it's been moved in our country to the to the Sunday following New Year's. So whatever Sunday follows the first of the year, that's when we celebrate the Epiphany. So, but we also get a saint today, Saint Andre Bessette, and I'll talk a little bit about him. Had an optional memorial this morning at Mass. Um, so just a reminder of our schedule. Adoration of the Blessed Sacrament will begin today around noon because we have a funeral at 11, and then continue throughout the day, and there will be a holy hour at 6 from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. That will be live streamed. And then on Thursday and Friday, we have Mass at 8 a.m. So that kind of fills out our schedule for the rest of the week. And I'm talking about the weekend coming up in the next couple days. As I mentioned, Saint Andre Bessette is a close by saint and a relatively recent canonized saint. He's known as the Miracle Man of Montreal. So he has connections up to Canada, but also too he looked for work in the United States. I have a little biography of him to reference. His given name was Alfred. He was born in Quebec August 9th of 1845. He was orphaned by the time he was 12. He came from a big family. I think there was 12. I think he was like the eighth of 12 in his family. Um, and so he had to try to work to support himself. He didn't have much education, and he had some chronic health problems too. I think some chronic stomach problems that kind of made him a little bit frail and difficult to find work. So he kind of jumped from job to job. But even as a very young man or as a child, he had a lively faith and a strong devotion to Saint Joseph, and we'll see that play out throughout his years. Like I said, he jumped from job to job, and he even looked for work here in the United States, but then eventually goes back to Quebec, where his childhood pastor encouraged him to consider a vocation to religious life. He sent him to the congregation of the Holy Cross. And that's where I get the information for his biography. But he was sent to the congregation of the Holy Cross, and his pastor included a note that said, "I am sending you a saint." Well, they didn't think they didn't think that was actually true when they first got him and saw him, because again he was in poor health, and they didn't really want to accept him. They were also a teaching order, and he couldn't read or write, so. He was not discouraged, though, and he got the assistance of the Archbishop of Montreal, and the Congregation of the Holy Cross received him into their novitiate in 1870. Upon entering the novitiate, he took the name Andre, so Alfred became Andre. Um, Given his frail health and lack of formal education, Brother Andre was assigned as doorkeeper of Notre Dame College in Montreal. Now, when you hear college, you think um, we tend to think that's the upper level education, for post high school. In Canada, it's more seen as kind of, I guess you would call middle school and high school education. So he was the doorkeeper there. He greeted visitors. He helped, he delivered the mail. He did all kinds of those, kind of very humble jobs. Um, it's uh, it's interesting. He had the comment that he said when he first came to the Congregation of the Holy Cross, they tried to show him the door, and he spent 40 years there. So that was kind of his little joke about his job as the doorkeeper at Notre Dame College. Many people began to experience physical healings after praying with him, and he gets this reputation then as a healer. Um, and so the congregation, so many people were coming that the congregation allowed him to see people at the trolley station across the street. Now, he, through it all, was very humble about it. He always told him no, it was through St. Joseph that these healings came, not through him at all. So his desire to increase devotion to St. Joseph inspired him to found a shrine to his favorite saint across the street from Notre Dame College. Um, he went to the bishop, and the bishop said, "You can do it, but I'm not going to give you any money. You have to pay for it yourself." So I think first he used the money he collected, like nickels and dimes from the students. He would give them haircuts, and they would give him, little tips for that. He saved all of those, and it was on the top of this mountain, Mount Royal, I think it's what it's called, where the shrine is. And I think he also put a statue of Saint Joseph up there, kind of like a little collection thing. And so he collected a couple $100 through, just like nickels and dimes through these kind of his work and donations. And he starts to do it. He eventually earned the $200 he needed to construct a simple structure. And then he was always trying to expand it. The shrine opened October 19th of 1904, and in 1909, um, Brother Andre was released from his duties as doorkeeper and assigned full-time as the caretaker of the Oratory of St. Joseph. The oratory attracted a large number of pilgrims, and plans were made to construct a large basilica. And so he wanted to do it. There's a story too that he asked I think the brothers to place a large statue of Saint Joseph there, and like you said, that if Saint Joseph wants a roof over his head, he'll bring the money to have a roof built over his head, and if he wants walls, he'll bring in the money to construct walls. So he had that very kind of simple but deep faith and this great devotion to Saint Joseph. It attracted a large number of pilgrims, and like I said, they wanted to build a large basilica. Um, it ends up that Brother Andre's full-time ministry for the rest of his life was to receive the long lines of sick visitors who flocked to the oratory to see him. He became known as the Miracle Man of Montreal. Thousands of miraculous healings were attributed to his intercession over the following decades. He died on January 6 of 1937 at the age of 91. During the week that his body lay in state outside of St. Joseph's Oratory, an estimated 1 million people braved the bitter Montreal winter to pay their respects. Eventually, they did construct the basilica, and it still is a very large pilgrimage site, attracts over 2 million visitors a year, and the side chapels are filled with the crutches of people healed through St. Andre's prayers. So on October 17th, 2010, St. Andre Bessette became first saint of the Congregation of the Holy Cross, and he was canonized by Pope Benedict XVI. On this day, the church recognized that God chose a very simple man for a remarkable life of service to the church. And so that's the saint for today, Saint Andre Bessette, the Miracle Man of Montreal. So a great intercessor and a great example of kind of that simple, deep faith, and also too of great devotion to Saint Joseph. And we're in a year of Saint Joseph right now. That in December it marked the 150th anniversary of when I think it. I want to say that St. Joseph was named as the universal patron of the church, or the patron of the universal church, I guess I should say. He's patron of the universal church. So to mark the 150th anniversary, Pope Francis declared a year of St. Joseph. So St. Andre Bessette is a good example of great devotion to St. Joseph, and can encourage us to maybe look to St. Joseph with increased devotion. That's today's saint. That's today's update. So let's continue to look out for each other and pray for one another. And I pray that through the intercession